Welcome back to the Lose Weight by Eating podcast. My name is Audrey Johns and I'm your host. And this week I wanted to talk to you about something vulnerable. I actually wasn't even sure if I would ever talk to all of you about this, but I thought it's really important to talk about what happens when a weight loss expert, such as myself, gains some weight back. Because I've seen it not just with myself, and I'm going to tell you a story about all of that, but with other people in this space. And I feel like we need to reframe how we look at this. Now, for those of you who don't already know my weight loss story, I lost 150 pounds in 11 months. And more or less, I have kept it off for 14, almost 15 years now. So I said more or less. Many people gain weight for many different reasons, and we're going to talk about that closer to the end of the podcast, but I want to explain why I gained weight, or why I believe I gained weight. So I had a hysterectomy. I was very sick. I had to have it done. It was a medical necessity. And all the way up until the hysterectomy, I had maintained my weight loss. Maybe a 5-pound up and down. That's normal, but I had maintained. I was still fitting into all of my clothing, and I had the hysterectomy. And there was a lot of downtime afterwards. And surprisingly, my partner and I actually went on a trip once I was well again, and I still fit into all the same clothing. So before you think, okay, it must have been the downtime, it wasn't. I had my aunt was here taking care of me, and my partner was bringing me food. We weren't living together yet at the time. And yes, I couldn't exercise, but I was still eating really, really healthy. So it was not the downtime. It was the hormones. And I gained a lot of the weight back. It started out really slow. And as I noticed, things were fitting tighter. Of course, this was in summer. So it's not like you're wearing jeans every day and it's obvious. But I did notice some of my dresses were getting tighter, and I thought, okay, well, I know what to do with this. Yeah, I coach people. I know how to lose weight in a healthy way. I know what to do, right? Well, my tricks did not work. And they didn't work because my body was going through something major. My hormones were rebalancing. My body was healing. This was a major surgery, and I didn't realize how much of it was going to affect me. Now, for those of you who are wondering, I still have my ovaries, but everything else was taken. So I still do get some hormones. So I assume in 10 years, I'm going to be back here on the podcast telling all of you guys a relatively similar story again. But I feel like it's important to talk about it because nobody talks about it. Everyone wants to just pretend like, oh, I didn't gain any weight back. Well, it's obvious. I can see you're still a great chef, or, you still are very inspirational, but we don't want to talk about it. And I feel like I really kind of have to. So I tried all my tricks, all of the lose weight by eating tricks. I thought, okay, well, I must be missing the mark somewhere. So now I'm going to start logging how much water I drink. I'm going to start writing down everything that I eat. This is a really great way to kind of revisit a diet that has worked for you. If you already know it so well, like the one I wrote, obviously I know, but sometimes you just got to kind of check in with yourself, and you don't realize that maybe you're having way too much creamer in your coffee, or maybe that snack you're having in the afternoon is 100 calories more than you thought it was. Sometimes it's good just to check in. And I did, and I modified, and I tried all my tricks, and nothing worked. And that's when I started listening to the noise. I know you all know what the noise is. This is how you lose weight, and that's how you lose weight, and try this diet, and try that diet, and you need more protein, right? I tried out keto. I tried boosting my protein. I tried having more protein shakes. All of these things packed on more pounds for me. So it accelerated to the point where I had to buy new clothes. That's really heartbreaking when you've lost all this weight and you've maintained it for so many years. And we're talking 20 pounds, maybe 30, if I'm honest. But buying new clothes, that was hard. I kind of retreated within myself because I felt like a failure, because I was listening to all of this noise, because I was not taking a step back and giving myself the grace of, your body is going through a change. And I'm going to be really careful not to call out a male counterpart by name who's having a similar weight gain issue. So obviously it can happen when it has nothing to do with a major medical or hormonal change, right? But that doesn't matter. It would be easier if it wasn't a hormonal change, right? It would be easier if I hadn't had surgery and I gained weight and I was like, oh, I know what to do with this, right? I want to talk about the hardest possible part is that no matter what I tried, I kept gaining weight. And now I kind of felt like my hormones balanced. Of course, my doctor checked and he was like, okay, you're okay. You're not great, but this isn't a big enough swing for us to be overly worried. Fast forward to now, I'm going to get lab work done next week to check my hormones again and to check my thyroid. And my doctor has, as all doctors do, they try to learn more. And now he's like, wait, I really do want to recheck all of this stuff for you. So I will have a follow-up to this episode so that I can share it with all of you. But, I really, really struggled during this time. And what I ended up falling into, and thank you to all of the different people out there practicing and preaching self-love and self-care, I fell into it hard. And one of my favorite Instagram people that I follow for this, she goes by Mary's Cup of Tea. That's her handle. And she preaches self-love. And this gal had been a fitness model and she had been rail thin, looked amazing. And she still is just stunning. And not that I want to only lean on her looks. I feel like we're all trying to kind of clean that up a little bit, but she's so wise and so much younger than me and so wise. And I loved that. And she had found that embracing her body was what she needed. And I really dove deep into self-care, self-love. And I'm really glad that I did because it helped me balance myself in this time that my body was just all over the place and I couldn't lose the weight. And that's why I really want to bring this podcast into self-love happens in the kitchen. Feeding yourself healthy food is an act of self-care and self-love. But I digress, as I often do. When I was diving into self-care and self-love, I was still listening to the noise. The biggest noise I heard was you need more protein. You need more protein, more protein, more protein. You're not having enough protein. That's why you're not losing weight. And so I was listening to this noise. I was going along with it and I was gaining and gaining and gaining. And at this point now we're talking a few years later. So I should have been balanced at that point. But instead of saying, okay, let me revisit my water, let me revisit what am I eating, let me go back in and try my tricks, I was listening to the noise. And I feel like so many of us get stuck listening to the noise of weight loss. Everybody's always trying to say, hey, leave me a message below and I'll send you my weight loss plan. And everybody's trying to sell you something. And even I got sucked into that. And so I want to take a quick note and just say it's okay to get sucked into the noise of all these different weight loss fads. It's okay. I know better, and I did. So with that, I want to talk about my last episode was how I screwed up in 2024. I highly recommend that you listen to it because in that I joined a gym and I started listening to what the trainers at the gym were telling me. Now, I understand a lot of you were like, Jesus, woman's got money. She's like hiring trainers. No. This was a free training session. I joined a gym when there was no upfront fees, all of that. But I got a free training session and the gal said, you're not eating enough protein. And I get more into that in how I screwed up in 2024. But it was as if the noise was then validated, right? By somebody who I believed had an interest in helping me. And I still believe that she has an interest in helping me, but she's listening to the noise. And I want to take a step back. And someone had mentioned to me after my How I Screwed Up in 2024 episode, they said, well, of course, the trainers are trying to get you to eat more protein. They sell protein shakes there. They sell the powder. There's even a little bar area where you can order a protein shake. Of course. Of course, people are saying more protein because it's actually something they can sell you, right? You need more protein, try my protein powder. You need more protein, try this protein powder with the affiliate link, which again, might not be the worst thing for each person, but it was interesting, right? And that kind of brought it around to wanting to talk a little bit more about this. So I joined a gym in my, okay, this is the new me. I'm not going to be able to lose the weight. Everything I try is not helping. I'm just going to focus on fitness. Maybe I won't be that size 4 I was again. That's okay. I'm happy being a size 8 at the time. I mean, who wouldn't be happy? But I'm just going to focus on feeling healthy and doing the best thing I can for my body, because that's all I really can do right now. I joined the gym and I focused on fitness and eating healthy. And I tried to drown out the noise. And then it kind of came to a peak. I realized I feel like crap when I eat animal protein. Personally, I'm not saying because you're listening to this podcast, you have to go vegan. I'm not saying that. And, later on, we're going to talk about the hamburger I had yesterday. So by no means am I a vegan, but I realize that I just feel terrible when I eat massive quantities of protein, of chicken, of beef. Fish, maybe not quite so bad, but we also worry about microplastics and all of that stuff with the fish. Even protein shakes, I would feel terrible afterwards. A large omelet, I would feel terrible afterwards. I didn't feel so bad with the vegan proteins. And by that, I mean, the beans and the nuts, but wow, are those high in calories, right? So I just started saying, I'm only going to eat what makes me feel good. And it was like, boom, the weight started coming off. And I started to the haze started to clear, and I could see that I was listening to noise, and I knew I was better than that. And that was just so frustrating for me, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. It's a human condition. And that's why I want to be vulnerable with all of you, because I feel like we all do this at some point. We know the answer and we go the other way. It doesn't have to be weight loss or eating or fitness. It could be anything, right? Everybody takes the wrong path from time to time. So at this moment, I've tried everything. I realized I was listening to the noise, and the noise was BS. So I started going hard on, I just want to eat healthy. I just want to eat what makes me feel good. I stopped focusing on protein because that was the noise. Now listen, really quickly, if you feel so healthy and energetic and you have regular bowel movements and all of that when you eat a lot of protein, by all means, eat a lot of protein. Everyone is different. So just because I can't eat a lot of protein does not mean that you can't. But what I really want to say right now, this is what I really want to get across. That noise of eat more protein made me gain weight. You don't need more protein to lose weight. You don't. Think about this. What about the low-fat diet? What about all of those diets that came before high-protein diets? Is it as if for the last 50 years, people have been trying these diets and they never work? Of course they work. The rule, the golden rule is calories in, calories out. It always has been. I believe it always will be. This is how you lose weight, is you have a deficit in calories. But you need to learn how to spend those calories in a way that gives you energy, right? So I stopped focusing on protein. I'd maybe on a good day get 50 grams of protein, probably closer to 30 or less per day. I stopped eating anything that was healthy but was processed in some way. So what I mean is a protein bar, and even like the kind bars, right? Anything that was not a raw ingredient, I stopped eating, except for on free days. And we are going to talk about free days, also known as cheat days, next week. Don't you worry. We're going to go deep, and I'm going to tell you all about my In-N-Out moment yesterday. But anything that I knew had been broken down and processed, I didn't eat. So let's take a moment and explain what that looks like. Because for a lot of you, you're thinking, how do I even do that? So what do I eat in a day? So for breakfast, I love to have this smoothie whenever I come back from the gym. It has a handful of spinach, baby spinach, about a cup, half of a frozen banana, and then 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, all natural raw peanut butter. I blend that up with just some water, and that's my breakfast. That's about 315 calories. Then for lunch, I'll just have fruit because I'm working. And then for dinner, I will make something really healthy. So for instance, I would make a tofu bowl with tons of vegetables, or I would make roasted sweet potatoes with beans and vegetables on top, like fajita vegetables. So good. So this is how I eat. I try to eat foods that have not already been processed. Now, I'm not perfect at it. And by all means, on free day, I go a little nutty. But this is how I started eating, and the weight has flown off because I knew what to do. And if you're saying, well, I don't know what to do, it's so easy. All you have to do is write down what you eat every day. Just get a notepad, keep it in your purse, keep it in your back pocket, keep it in your car, keep it on your desk, wherever you need to have it. Write down what you ate and at what time. And then I want you to check in with your body mentally, or put a reminder on your phone to go off 2 hours after you've eaten. And then I want you to take a step back and say, okay, how do I really feel? Am I still hungry? If you are, it either wasn't enough food or it wasn't the right kind of food. Am I lethargic? Then it was either too much food or not the right kind of food. You just kind of drill it down to, how do I really feel? Because you feel great when you eat a banana split. But how do you feel 2 hours later? You feel terrible, right? So what you want to do is you want to get away from just thinking about how do I feel in the moment because it tastes good, and think about how do I feel 2 hours later, 3 hours later. I want you to start mentally thinking about, how often, sorry, we're going to get gross here. How often do I have a bowel movement? And if it's only twice a week, then maybe you're not having enough fiber, right? So all you have to do to figure out what you feel good eating is write it down and think about it. It's easy. So to get back into, I have started doing what I knew I needed to do. The energy started coming back. I was exercising, feeling great. And I am now currently, well, not today because it's filming day and I want to be comfy. But yesterday, I am now fitting into my skinniest pair of jeans. And I did it. And why am I telling you I'm fitting into my skinniest pair of jeans? It's because I don't weigh myself. And for those of you who don't understand that, listen to my podcast. The episode is called Why I Threw My Bathroom Scale Away. It's pretty insightful. And this was happening while I was going through my self-care journey. I think you'll find it really insightful. So let's talk about the takeaways. So when someone that you follow, look up to, go to for guidance, any of that, gains weight, we are so quick to judge, to shame, instead of just saying, oh my God, this is so great. They're just like me. This isn't some superhuman who, only ever lost weight because she had been pregnant, or only ever lost weight because he had had an injury and couldn't work out for a year. It's kind of a great moment. So I want to reframe that. So when you look at a weight loss expert or a healthy eating expert, and really, let's just say an expert in any field, and they screw up, I want you to take away, oh, thank God, they're human just like me, which means if I can do it, you can do it. Because I am not perfect by any means. I do not eat perfect. I do not hit the gym as hard as I should every single time I go. We're the same. And that's the beauty in it, that if you lose weight, gain some back, you can lose it again. So when you look at someone like me, who is a weight loss expert, who had gained some weight back and then maybe even before I had lost it all again. You could say, she gained weight back. Oh, I can be a little bit more gentle with myself. This is clearly just part of the process, right? We all have ups and downs. It's just part of the journey. It's so important to look at those that you look up to and see them as humans, just like you. It makes it easier. Now, let's talk about being kind, because as I've been very careful not to name my male counterpart in this, because that would be crappy. We also want to think about how we're talking to these people, because you never know. You never know why they gained the weight. Are they suffering with depression? Are they sick? Did they have surgery? Are they injured? Are they just human? Unless you are perfect, it's really not okay to call out others for not being perfect. Right? So sometimes, one of my last big takeaways, sometimes we do not take our own advice. Let me say it again. Sometimes we do not take our own advice. How many times have you not taken your own advice? Okay, here's a good example. That's not food related. My daughter is learning how to drive. Terrifying, yes, but it makes me take stock in, I should not be screwing with my phone while I'm driving, because I'm teaching her. I'm teaching her your phone goes away. You do not need your phone when you're driving. If you need directions, then you put it up on the little thing, put a little magnet on the back of her phone for her. You don't touch your phone while you're driving. It's not safe. But how often do I not take my own advice? I assure you, it's often. So this happens in multiple different realms. We don't always take our own advice. So be kind to creators who screw up, because we are not perfect. So be gentle with yourself, and just know that everybody has the ups and downs in weight loss. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be a little bit vulnerable right now. This was not an easy podcast episode to do, but I'm in a good place now. I think I kind of had to get to the place where I've lost all the weight again to be able to talk about it. But yeah, life is just a series of ups and downs. And I feel like it's what we do with them that counts. So me being vulnerable here with you, not hiding myself and saying, yeah, I gained some of the weight back, figured it out, and lost it again. So just know that life has its ups and downs, and that happens for all of us. It's not just you. You're not alone. I want to send love and kindness and happiness out to all of you, and I hope that you do the same. And just don't be so hard on yourself or those around you, because we're all going through this human experience. Listen to the next episode of the Lose Weight by Eating podcast. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be talking about free days, also known as cheat days, and I will tell you all about my In-N-Out experience. But yeah, stay tuned to next week. It's going to be interesting. Again, thank you for listening to the Lose Weight by Eating podcast. I'm your host, Audrey Johns. Be sure to check out loseweightbyeating.com. Check me out on Instagram at Audrey Johns, on TikTok at Audrey Lee Johns, and on Facebook at Lose Weight by Eating with Audrey Johns. I'll see you next week. Bye.